There is a moment most people never forget. A moment where they said yes when every part of them was screaming no. Not because they were threatened with physical harm, not because someone held power over them in any obvious way, but because they felt something far more invisible and far more dangerous pressing down on their chest. It was guilt. It was fear. It was the crushing weight of obligation. And in that moment, without fully understanding what was happening, they handed over a piece of their freedom. This is not a rare experience. This happens in homes, in friendships, in workplaces, in the most intimate corners of our lives. And the people doing it often don't even carry the look of a villain. They look like someone who loves you. They look like someone who needs you. They look like someone who is suffering because of you. And that is precisely what makes emotional blackmail one of the most psychologically devastating forms of manipulation ever identified. Unlike physical control, which leaves visible marks, emotional blackmail works in silence. It rewires how you think about yourself. It teaches you, slowly and methodically, that your needs, your boundaries, and your instincts are the problem. Therapist and author Susan Forward, who first gave this pattern its name, described it with chilling clarity. Emotional blackmail is a powerful form of manipulation in which people close to us threaten, either directly or indirectly, to punish us if we don't do what they want. And the weapon they use is not a fist or a threat. The weapon is you, your love for them, your fear of their pain, your deeply human desire to be seen as good. The system she identified has 3 components, and together they form what she called the fog: fear, obligation, and guilt. Think about that word for a moment, fog, because that is exactly what this kind of manipulation creates inside your mind. A thick, disorienting haze where you can no longer clearly see where your choices end and someone else's control begins. You stop trusting your own perception. You begin to question whether your boundaries are reasonable. You wonder if maybe you really are too selfish, too cold, too ungrateful. And while you are lost in that fog, second-guessing every instinct you have, the person manipulating you moves freely, getting exactly what they want every single time. Understanding this framework is not just an intellectual exercise. It is the first act of reclaiming your mind. Now, to truly understand how this system operates, you need to understand the 4 faces it wears, because emotional blackmail does not look the same in every relationship, and that variety is exactly what makes it so difficult to recognize. The first face is the punisher. This is the most direct form, someone who makes their anger, disappointment, or withdrawal your responsibility. If you don't comply, they rage, they threaten, they disappear, and they make absolutely certain you understand that their pain is your fault. The second face is the self-punisher, perhaps even more unsettling, because here the manipulation turns inward. Instead of threatening you directly, they threaten themselves. They say things like, "If you leave, I don't know what I'll do to myself," placing the entire weight of their well-being onto your shoulders until you feel that any choice you make for yourself is an act of violence against them. The third face is the sufferer, someone who doesn't demand or threaten outright, but instead makes their suffering so visible, so constant, so perfectly timed, that you feel compelled to fix it. You begin rearranging your entire life around their pain, not because they asked you directly, but because the implication is always there. Your happiness comes at the cost of theirs. And then there is the tantalizer, perhaps the most psychologically sophisticated of all 4. The tantalizer uses reward as control. They dangle affection, approval, opportunity, or love just out of reach. And every time you move toward your own autonomy, the reward disappears. You find yourself performing, shrinking, and reshaping who you are, just to earn something that should never have had conditions attached to it in the first place. What makes all 4 of these types so dangerous is that they don't operate through hatred. They operate through intimacy. The closer someone is to you, the more emotional leverage they have, and the more naturally the FOG settles in. Fear tells you that standing up for yourself will cost you everything. Obligation tells you that after everything they've done, how could you possibly say no? And guilt transforms your most basic human needs into evidence of your moral failure. Together, these 3 forces don't just change your behavior, they change your identity. But here is where the story shifts, because knowledge, once it enters the mind, cannot be unknown. The moment you can name what is happening to you, the fog begins to lift. Not all at once, and not without discomfort, but it lifts. Naming is not a small thing. Psychologists have long understood that the act of labeling an experience activates the rational part of your brain, reducing the emotional intensity and returning to you something manipulation had quietly stolen: your ability to think clearly in the middle of the storm. So the next time you feel that familiar pressure building in your chest, that sense that you must comply or something terrible will follow, pause. Ask yourself which of the three forces is speaking. Is it fear, obligation, or guilt? Ask yourself whether this feeling is a reflection of your actual values, or whether it has been carefully installed by someone who benefits from your compliance. Ask yourself what you would choose if you weren't afraid of their reaction. These questions are not easy. They require a level of self-honesty that can feel deeply uncomfortable, especially when the person manipulating you is someone you genuinely love. But real love, healthy, secure, grounded love, does not weaponize your emotions. It does not hold your peace hostage. It does not require you to dissolve yourself to prove your loyalty. The path forward is not about cutting people off or responding with anger. It is about clarity. It is about learning to hold your ground with compassion, but without apology. It is about understanding that every time you honor your own boundaries, you are not being selfish, you are being sane. You are refusing to let fear, guilt, or obligation write the story of your life. The people who manipulate through fog are, in many cases, operating from their own deep wounds, their own fears of abandonment, their own unmet needs. Understanding that doesn't mean excusing the behavior. It means you can respond with wisdom instead of reaction. It means you can protect yourself without losing your humanity. And perhaps most importantly, it means you can stop waiting for them to change before you decide to be free. Your freedom does not depend on their permission. It never did. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.